Hello, on this video I'm going to do a tutorials on a basic Redis. That's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna build basically the Node application on the Express server, and we're gonna create some key value pairs on the Redis. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do on this tutorials. For that one, we need to install the Redis first. So you can directly install the Redis on your machine, and you can run it on the web client as well from Redis, and you can install it. That's what you one way what we can do. Another way what we can do is we can use a Docker container, and we're going to run our Redis and Redis web client there, and from there we will create a Node application, and we can able to connect as well. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to create a Docker container, and we're going to do the build the Node applications. All right, for that one we need to install a Docker first. So if you don't have a Docker, just install it. Just go into docker.com and just install it. Yes, so once you install the Docker, then you will receive, or you will see the new web applications like this, or no, sorry, the desktop application like this, Docker desktop. And in the Docker desktop you will see the container and images. Probably you might not see any images, or you might only see on one Docker welcome to Docker images, right? And you will see the container here. And once you have this, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the setting file, basically the Docker setup file or a config file in the YAML. And once we have that file, and we're gonna specify what kind of images we want, or what kind of container we want to run. So once we have those settings, then we will run it, and then after we could able to see that we are running the Redis or not. So for that one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in VS Code, and we're gonna create a new folder. And here I've created already the Redis app folder. This is a Redis app, which is basically empty here. So inside here, I'm going to create a new file. A new file is a Docker compose YAML, right? And we can provide any name here, but when we provide a Docker dash compose file, then we don't have to specify on our command. When we run it, we don't have to specify the name, because the Docker compose file is a standard name. The command will pick it up on this folder. But if we change the name, then we need to specify the name into our command. That's all about it. So it's easy to just to put the docker.compose.yaml file, so the command will pick it up when we run it later on. But first, now we need to set it up our compose.yaml file. So I already have this, so I'll just paste it here, and I will just explain you guys what it really does. So the first thing is just a version, and here we need to specify what kind of services we want. So here basically the service I want is a Redis inside, and the Redis itself. So it will install the images if you don't have it. If you don't have it, then it will install it. But if you have it already, it will not install it. So here in images, you will see this is a Redis. It's been installed here, and there is another one is a Redis lab.redis inside. It's already inside installed on this two on my images here. If you don't have it, then it will install it. So it will install the images, and it will create a container here, and it will run it. Currently I have only something called Redis container here, but I don't have it's running. So what I'm going to do is, once you have this setup file like this, then we could able to run it, and it will install it if you don't have it. But if you have it, you will take those, and it will run the container here. Here I have already specified the container here. It's called Redis, and Redis inside is a container which I have need to run it when I run this file. So here I'll just go to the brief what it really says it. So here it says the services I want is the Redis and Redis inside. Redis inside is a web client view which we can able to view it, and in the Redis here, images I want is the Redis from the latest one, and container name I want to give as a Redis, and restart as always. And this is the volume where the data is going to store, and here is a port number. It's going to run in 6379, and in the outside, basically in my machine, it's also going to run in the 6379, because inside the Docker in the container also is going to run in the 6379, and outside it's also going to run in the 6379. So here is a Redis inside, same process, same setting here, but it's instead of Redis, needs our Redis inside here, and it's running on 8001. That's all about it. And here's some volume information. So once you have this file, I'm going to put this file in a GitHub as well, so you guys can easily copy and paste it in your machine as well. Yep. So once you have docker.compose, so if I go in Redis app, I have already here docker.compose.yaml file. I just need to run it. So when you install the Docker in your machine, you will also receive the docker compose command. So if I type go docker here, then here we already have a docker in our machine, and if I do a docker.compose compose, then we also have a docker the compose commands here. There are a lot of commands we can able to do it. We can also able to do on docker. If I do a ps, then we will see the container that is running. I don't have any container that is running at this time. If I do a docker the images, then these all are the images which I have currently in my docker. So I have already a Redis lab and this Redis already installed. But if you don't have it, then this file will definitely install it. All right, so we're going to run this file. To run this file, what we need to do is we just need to do a docker compose, and we need to do a up. And if we want to run in the background and detach mode, then we will do -d. So once we -d, then it says that empty compose file. It says that empty compose file. The reason it's not been saved, so we need to save this file. So once I copy and paste it, I didn't save it. That's why it says that it's empty, it's not there. I just save it now. So what it's really gonna do, it's gonna run this file. So what we're gonna do is docker compose up -d. -d means detach mode. We're gonna run in the background. So once I do it, so now it's gonna and it's gonna start our container, which I already installed it, so I don't need to, but it's gonna run my container. Here's container Redis, and Redis inside is running. And if I see in the Docker desktop applications here, then we will see in the Redis app that two of these images it's running here. So basically it's running the Redis as well. It's running the Redis inside too, which is really great now. So if I also look it up into the command such as like docker ps, then we'll see the two container is running. Here is a one container, there is another container. Perfect. So once we have this two is running at this in our machine, then we could able to directly see in our local host, basically on the web, which is the inside of the Redis, which is running on 801. So if I go in 801, we will see the Redis is running. So here it is. So it is the Redis web client is running, but it will tell me to install to have a database. So I already have a database that is running on different port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with that port. So I'm going to put a host name. The host name is basically the Redis, and if I do a 679, and this is the name of the Redis database. So I'll just call Redis DB for now, and we don't have set up any username and password, so we're gonna do directly the add Redis database. So once I do it, now here it is my Redis database. So once I click it here, so now we will see the Redis database here, and these all are the executing CLI that we could able to run it here. And we have also the browser here. We could also able to see the list of the key value here for this database, and much more information about the Redis here, what we can do. But for now, we're just gonna see that we could able to set the key value pair or not. For that one, we're gonna do a set. Now it also tell me here what the set really does. So we will instead we will provide a key as a name, and we'll get a SAM. It say okay, now it's been set. So if I go now, I want to get it. So I'll just do get what? Get name. So here is SAM. So if I go in browser, then we'll see the name. If I click it here, then we will see here our name. And so in the Redis, we could able to set a different type of variables, such as like here, has, list, set, sorted set, and here's string and JSON. But we're gonna just set it up the key and the value here in string. So that's what we see. So okay, once we have this, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a node applications, and we're gonna connect with the Redis. Okay, that's the next step what we're gonna do. For that one, we will go directly into our Redis app here, and for Redis app, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this Redis app to our node applications. So now let's install the node application. For that one, I'm gonna do npm init here. So it will tell me to install the package name. I'm gonna put the default whatever is provided for now. So once I have it, so I will say the package.json. So here is my npm project is already been started, right? Let's install a couple of packages. So I'm going to install the npm install the express first. That's what we need, and we're going to create this as a TypeScript application. So we're going to install the types of express as well. So the next is I'm going to install the io-redis is the library what we're going to use for our Redis in the back there. So we're gonna use our types for our Redis as well for our TypeScript. So okay, so once we have this, now we're gonna also install the Redis itself as well. So we're gonna use Redis, install the Redis itself. So we're gonna install the Redis here, and also install the type for Redis. And the next is we're gonna also install the TS node. Basically TS node is the library that is needed to run a TypeScript in the node applications. So once we have installed add this all of it, and we're gonna do a enter. So once we do enter, so now it will add this all the packages in our node applications. Okay, so everything has been installed, good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new folder here, source, and inside the source we're gonna write our application file. But before we write the source, we also need to write a tsconfig file, because we are running the TypeScript here. So tsconfig.json. So in a tsconfig, we're gonna set a couple of config here. So here I already have a config here laid down, so I'll just paste it here. So basically in compile option, we're gonna run as a es6 common.js module, and this is the output directory that is going to be, and source is our root directory. Right here is the root directory of our TypeScript applications here in the node, and we are including the TypeScript here, and we are excluding all the node modules. All right, so once we have this, so what we're gonna do is inside the source folder we're gonna create the app.ts file. So we're gonna create the app.ts file inside the source folder, and now here we're gonna create a small express applications. All right, for that one what we're gonna do is we're gonna import the express from express itself, right? So once we have an express, so we're gonna say as a app.express here. Okay, so once we have this one, so we just want to see that first it does work or not directly. So we're gonna use the app dot use. So we're gonna also use the express.json JSON format. Basically it's a body parser. We don't need to use a body parser now, it comes with express. So we're gonna use directly express.json. Here is already giving me example, so I'll just use as a app.get.this guy just to see the hello world. And now we're gonna run our applications here at the end. So for that one we're gonna do app.listen. all right, on port 3000 is fine. So we're gonna do directly here, and we're gonna write a console log here, and in the console log we're gonna do run our running. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. Now we're gonna run this app.ts file. For that one we're gonna do a node.app.ts. It will not run it. It will not run it. The reason is this need to be a compile, right? That's what it need to be done. So for that one what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the app dot here, and we're gonna do here, we're gonna create another call for start, and in start now we will run a ts node command, right? Because we have installed the ts node, and for that one we will tell that where is the source file, and it's inside the source that app.ts. So once we have the start here, the ts node, now what we can do is we can do an npm start. So once we do npm start, now it's going to run our application and says running. So if I go directly into a local host on 3000, right, that what is running here, it is hello world. So our application is running perfect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create we're gonna use the Redis library, and we're gonna set some key and value pairs. That's what we're gonna do. So now let's set some key and value pair. For that one we need to use the Redis library, that what we have installed. For that one we will use the redis.io. So once we have redis.io, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the Redis client, which I've already set it up here. So what I'm going to do is I have already set up here the Redis object that what we're gonna create from Redis, and here we provide the port number. If we don't have username and password, we don't have to provide it, and this is the port that is running a Redis here. That's what it shows up, and here what we have is Redis. So now what we're gonna do is basically when we have the something called cache is gonna run, and if there is a cache already, then it's gonna get from the Redis and it's gonna show up. If it's not, then it's gonna set the key and value pair of the cache. It's a very basic simple tutorial that what we're gonna do. So here we're gonna set something called get, and we're gonna set something called here in a cache. So in a cache now we'll set up the key and value pair. So in a cache here what we're gonna do is it's gonna return me the request and the response, right? So if I go into the response, the send, right, and here let's assume if I do the get data to cache, something like that, and we're gonna set here, probably we're gonna set something called the object here, something called like a message, and we're gonna say the message is not hello world, probably data to cache, right? So here what we have is a message from data to cache here, which is good. So now we will do what to await, and we'll use a Redis. We already have the Redis, and we'll set the cache here set, and we will set the cache data, something called data to cache. That's what we're gonna do. And once we have this, then we're gonna send this data to cache directly into here. So we're gonna set this first, and once we have set this, then we can set. It's already giving me error. The reason is I'm using the await here, and now it will use async here, so it will wait to set the data into a Redis, and it will set it up. So it's setting a data here into a Redis first, and so it's sending data. So now we can create another one, and maybe we'll say something called get cache. Maybe we'll just use it as a set cache. All right, so here the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to use a set cache, and where we're sending it, and here we're going to create another one called get cache. For get cache, we don't need anything, we just need to get the cache from our cache data. So once we have the data from cache data, then for that one we're going to do data to cache here. Instead of data to cache, probably we're going to do data cache, right? Okay, good. So once we have this, now here we're getting a cache, here we're inserting a cache. We'll just do a cache here instead of past. We'll just do a cache here. All right, so once we have this, now we need to run this program again. So I'm going to do npm start. So okay, it's running. Cool, it's running here. So now if I do in reload, it will say hello world, which is that's what we are expecting. So now let's set the cache. To set the cache, we just need to run get set cache, and we can run in other classes like Postman as well, but we're just gonna run here. So here message data to cache, that's what it return here, data to cache, right? That's what we are caching up, and it's already been cached. So if I go directly into our Redis here, probably if I refresh, then here, yes, we already see the data is here. Perfect, that's what we are expecting. We already see our data here. Perfect, that's what we have, and we could also able to get into from here. If I do a get cache, if I here the get cache, then we will see the data to cache, right? That's what we see. We can also able to set the params, and we can also say it, but that's the tutorial, guys, just to set the data and get the cache in the Redis using the Node and Express app on TypeScript. So I'm going to put this all the code into GitHub, and you can easily download it, and you can play around it. And please let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll try to answer it. And thank you very much for watching this video. Bye for now.